let's start way in North London.
Yeah.
Spurs against Newcastle. Spurs, I think, had won every single league game at home this season. They had a bunch of injuries and absentees. They're looking ahead. It's Richarlison now. It's Kulusevski out. There was no Romero.
Bit of whinging. Bit of Conte whinging.
Yeah, about the depth of the squad and whatever. Yeah. I'm assuming you're not buying those excuses.
No, how can you whinge about the depth of the squad and feeling a little bit tired when Bruno Guimaraes had a baby 2 days ago and he said after the game, I've not slept for 2 days, and put that type of performance in? I thought Newcastle, Gab, take my Newcastle hat off. I thought they were magnificent. Considering they got battered 5-1 the season before, and whenever Newcastle travel to London throughout the years, it's never a happy place for Newcastle to go. So as wins go, I thought that was a statement win from Eddie Howe's men.
So this was more Newcastle. Was it more Newcastle being good, or was it more Spurs being deficient?
Both.
Because when Spurs lost to United in midweek, I thought United were phenomenal. Yeah. I did not think there was that much wrong with Tottenham. Yeah. You know, sometimes both things can be true. You can play well and...
But don't you think that result was coming? Don't you think that result was coming? They'd done it against Arsenal. First 5 minutes, first 15 minutes, they went really defensive, really deep. And you think, what are you doing? North London derby. Done the same against Chelsea. Got lucky, last minute equaliser. Don't you think this defensive approach is going to catch up to you at some point? I do.
Is that the defensive approach? Because I would point out, and Conte pointed this out, I thought for the first 15, 20 minutes, Tottenham actually played pretty well. They were on the front foot.
Yeah, Son had a couple of chances, didn't he?
Yeah. And then you have that incident with the goalkeeper. I'm going to assume that...
Legal.
That you're going to say
Legal.
101, not a foul.
How does anyone ever think that's a foul? Do you? Is it not just two players coming together?
I love that term. That's an English term.
No, it's not.
It doesn't exist in any other language in the world.
There's 22 footballers on a pitch. At some point, there's going to be a little bit of bodily contact at coming together.
I think so. Look, I don't have a problem with letting that goal stand. And it's also because, like, you ultimately, Hugo Lloris, you were stupid. You screwed that one up. Yeah. You're normally reliable, not the best with your feet, but you are a phenomenal keeper and a leader. You made a huge mistake, right?
Yeah. And he knew it.
I do think that with a different referee, I think for me, the fact that Wilson's arms go out, which I think is kind of weird. I can understand if a different referee might have been prompted
If you take the biomechanics into consideration,
yes.
If me and you were to get up now and run into each other, there's no way your arms are going to be by your chest or by your side. We're going to do something to try and protect ourselves.
Yeah, most likely I would put my arms in front of me to protect myself from running into you. Yeah. I wouldn't have them round the side.
But then someone might say, you've pushed me. So I just think when you spin it all, I just think Lloris is in no man's land.
I thought it was the correct decision.
Yeah.
I thought Lloris was at fault for the second goal as well. We're going to get into more on Spurs a little bit later, but tell me about Newcastle, because, and we're going to get into this a lot more later, but just briefly, they're in the top four now. Mm-hmm. We've spun this image of Newcastle as a club because of the money from the public investment fund, which is a sovereign wealth fund of Saudi Arabia, that they can buy everybody. They've spent big, but they haven't spent out of this world.
This is ludicrous, is it?
A Man City situation. One of the guys they spent a lot of money on, Alexander Isak, has hardly played. Yeah. What we're seeing, I think, is people like Joe Linton, people like Almiron, people like freaking Longstaff, contributing at a very high level when they weren't doing that before. Yeah. So logic to me says that's on the manager, that's on Eddie Howe.
100%. There's lots of things to take into consideration, Gab, and it baffles me how Mike Ashley never got Newcastle United, and he never got the support. And what I mean by that is he didn't understand how amazing the Newcastle fans are. And he come out and said, we're not interested in a cup run, we don't want to win a trophy, it's all about finishing fourth bottom. Put the whole mood on Tyneside lower, especially on Newcastle, put it low. Fans were turned up to games, not particularly optimistic, not loving the football. Anyway, he goes, Steve Bruce goes, you get a young manager in who wants to play attacking football. All of a sudden, the fans are coming in the stadium. They can sense it. They can feel it. It's a great place to go and play. Newcastle's a great place to live. It's football-centric. It's mad on the football. So they go there. They've employed a company called War Flags, which is flags everywhere around the ground. It's a great place to go. The signings have been good. Trippier's come in. Didn't want a clause in his contract. If he goes down, he can leave.
I'll leave you with this, because percentage chance the Newcastle finish top four. I know you love your percentages.
I do. I don't think it'll happen, Gab. I don't think it'll happen. I think if you offer Newcastle fans and myself now 7th, we'd take it.
So less than 50%.
I think so, mate, yeah.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.